In the last 2 weeks, 2 reports from very, very reputable sources have come out on 2 very different subjects, but are painting one picture that I think is undeniable that I want to share with you right now. The first one is the PM Trends Report 2026 by Jordan Muela and Peter Lohman. This is their second report that they do, where they partner with Harris Poll to interview, I think, like 500 rental property owners and tell the data of your customer. And then the second one is by Matt Spear's team at propertymanagement.com, which is a self-reported survey of property management business owners, employees, teammates on the maintenance software category. They have this proprietary scoring system that breaks down what's going on across multiple categories to see what softwares are serving people the best. 2 very different types of reports, one story that really, really comes out of it. I'm excited to share this with you. Welcome to the Property Management Frame Breakers podcast. I'm your host, Pablo Gonzalez, and I am here to introduce you to the folks in the property management space that have broken the frame of what you may believe was possible. This podcast is presented by Vendoroo. It is your all-in-one AI solution for resolving your maintenance needs. Let's go. Okay, let's start with the PM Trends Report. This is the second time they do this. The first time had some really, really insightful stuff that I've been talking about nonstop. This is where we found out that 92% of rental property investors expect a response within a day, where over 70% of rental property investors expect non-emergency work orders to be handled in under 4 days, and 65% of them expect more control, right? Like, this is where we started to see the gap between the market's actual expectations and what, the industry is able to deliver, right? Like, this reason that you feel so devalued, right? Like, your rental property investors don't appreciate all that you do, because the things that you do are so complex and so difficult and so hard to meet any kind of expectations. And yet the expectations that they have of the performance aren't really quite matching. So over the last couple of years, at least since I've been in the industry, the big talk has been around how do we get rental properties to appreciate us? It's been about NOI, right? Like, man, if we can show them how much money we're making them, then they will appreciate all of our hard work. Makes sense on the surface. I do believe NOI is important. I believe that speaking in terms of what's important to your clients will always be important, and NOI is definitely going to be a conversation. But this last report, the 2026 report, found a data point that Peter shared in his newsletter, and I've seen a bunch of people share it now, including the folks that say I'm full of crap. But here's what it says. 92% of rental property investors are willing to sacrifice cash flow for a better rental property experience. 92% of rental property investors are willing to give up NOI for less headaches, for a better renter experience, for longer leases of people there, for you taking things off their plate and not having to, do stuff themselves, not being involved in things. 92%. This has been obvious to me for a long time. It was chapter 2 of my book. This idea that the NOI thing is a mirage. What rental property investors care about is headaches. It was obvious to me because as a rental property investor myself, I'll give you 2 stories that really painted this experience that made me lead with this thing in chapter 2 of my book. Number 1, when I was getting into rental property investing in 2021, one of my best friends, this guy that I was roommates with when I lived in California, Brian Rosenthal, he had just finished essentially a decade of burring, 1031ing, fixing and flipping his way to financial independence, right? Like, he really went from being 30 and working for the man to 40 and financially free thanks to real estate. As I was buying my first property at the end of 2021, he was cashing out his entire rental property portfolio and letting it ride on the S&P 500. I was like, Brian, What are you doing? I don't understand. Don't you know leverage? And don't you know that you can get 14 to 17 to 20% returns right now based on cash flow and appreciation and all these different things that are happening? And like, I don't get it. Like, can't this stuff be passive? He's like, Pablo, I love that you're getting into this. It's life-changing. You're going to do really, really well. But when you've been investing in real estate, as long as I have, you understand that it always comes with some kind of a headache. And I just don't deal well with these scenarios, these intense moments where you need to make a decision, cash comes out of pocket, somebody's upset. I just can't handle it anymore. I know that I have enough to put it in the S&P 500, let it ride for 7% a year, and I'm going to be fine. I don't need all the extra returns. I thought he was crazy, right? Until, as I progressed in my rental property investing journey, as you know, right, like I got into rental property investing with one of my best friends and mentors and my biggest clients got me into it, JWB, and I bought 3 properties with them. And then in early 2024, I bought a duplex, right? And I was house hacking, and it was natural for JWB to manage my other rental, the unit next door, right? They already managing the rest of my portfolio. I'm never going to self-manage. Trust me, you as a property manager will always have my business. But something happened, right? And something happened 2 years prior to that set this scenario up. 2 years prior to that, we received a bill for a roof in one of our rental properties. And I was about to pay it, right? It's like $2,500, something like that. I was about to pay it until my wife said, wait a minute, didn't we have about a year ago some work done on that roof? Shouldn't there be a warranty? She looked it up. She found that it should have been a warranty. We brought it up. JWB handled it, took care of it. It was great. It was just an oversight, totally normal. I'm sure this has happened to somebody in your company before. But at that moment, my wife lost trust, right? Like she's like, whoa, I had to find this. Now I'm gonna be like a hawk on top of everything. And from there on out, kind of like every moment that there was some kind of like cost or something like that, it just pinged these kind of like kitchen table arguments where she's like, do I need to go look into it? Do I need to go check this out? Until as we started, and then when we grew the portfolio, we added this other unit. Now we had these renters next door. Obviously not an ideal experience, but like they knew that we're the landlord. So any little thing that happened, they would like bring it up to us. And it just kept like pinging for her until finally I said, you know what? Let's just bring in a different property manager for the unit next door and give somebody else a shot. Brought in Morgan Property Management, doing business with them. They're phenomenal, right? But here's the deal. We didn't churn, we didn't take a unit away from a property manager that we know, like, and trust because of NOI. We took it away because of what I call KTAs. These like kitchen table arguments that happen, right? Like every time that there's a questionable maintenance bill or a vacancy that's going too long, the husband and wife or, whoever is doing this, even if you're by yourself, you're sitting there having these conversations either with yourself or with your partner about like, man, do they really know what they're doing? Like, are we really in good hands? Is this really what's happening? It happens in those moments. Brian churned from the asset class because he didn't want to go through that pain. We changed property managers on one unit because of the same kind of thing, right? The same kind of experience is what opens the door for someone to leave you. And to me, this is what this data, and I went really hard that like NOI is not going to save you, right? NOI is great. You want to prove NOI, but you're not going to be able to compete on NOI versus another property manager. You need to really mind your KTAs, your kitchen table arguments, meaning the property manager that has the bandwidth to, whenever something is kind of wrong, whenever there's a tough conversation to have, you have the bandwidth to sit down with that rental property investor, bring in the stakeholders, have that conversation, let them know you're on top of it, let them know everything you've done, let them know everything you're doing, and let them know that this is just like part of the journey and they're still going to do well and the NOI is going to be preserved and all those things. That is it, right? Because you're going to have to do that once, you're probably going to have to do that another time, and be there for these moments to walk people off the ledge. That is what's going to prevent people from churning, from you, from the asset class, from these different things. And to me, this data proves it. 92% of rental property investors are willing to give up cash flow for a better experience, which brings me to the next report, right? What does create a better experience? I've been saying it for a while that the thing that AI is going to do is create that better experience. Not because AI does it, but because AI handles all the task intensive to do things that bog up your day so that when these moments happen, you have the availability, you have the bandwidth, and you have the data and the info to show up for these moments fully present and talk somebody off of a ledge and feel trusted and have them know that you got it, that you're on top of it, that you're handling it, that they're safe, right? Emotional safety for your rental property investor. So what did propertymanagement.com find? Propertymanagement.com, first of all, the maintenance category, really cool. Tons of competition, and it's the closest category to call for any of them. The three people, the three technological solutions were separated by only 1.01 points in their rating system. And one of the main points of this report says, maintenance is the second PM workflow after leasing to face an architectural reset from operator-managed coordination to AI-native autonomous execution. Now, what were they rating? They were rating most credible, so highest credibility, best support, so they're asking for highest support quality, best value, highest pricing perception, easiest to use, right, highest ease of use, best performance, right? So like what is performing the best, and happiest customers. This one's interesting. This is the highest operator NPS. So what property managers have the highest NPS scores with their clients using these softwares? And Property Meld took 4 of the categories, right? They took the most credible, best support, best value, easiest to use, and Vendoroo took best performance and happiest customers. So Property Meld ended up being called the winner of the category, and kudos to them, right? But like, if you think about it, these categories, there's 2 different types of categories. Most credible, best support, best value, easiest to use. There are perception categories. They're signify kind of like platform maturity and market comfortability with it. Best performance and highest customers are performance categories. These are outcomes and results that are being delivered. And this is where the information from the 2 reports start to paint a picture. Propertymanagement.com is clearly showing that the maintenance category is going from a place that is made for the human operator to run it to something that can drive actual results for your team and do the work and take it off their plate. Not just a dashboard, not just a control center, not just insight into what you're doing, but actual teammate level outcome performance. And that, my friend, is the future of software in property management. And it comes at a phenomenal time because it's never been clearer what is actually going to drive business for you. It's creating this elevated owner experience that comes from an elevated resident experience. And the tools of the past have not been able to get us there. They are made to do an impossible amount of tasks slightly better, slightly faster, whatever. The name of the game right now is offloading the repetitive, endless, forever firefight of mundane tasks that just have to get done, that take too long, that don't really feed your soul, to AI, where the AI is ready for it, so that you can focus on the things that really move the needle. When it comes to maintenance, it is having the bandwidth, having the time, having the capacity to sit there with your owners, sit there with the residents, and help them understand why something that is happening needs to happen, and the fact that this was something that's just part of the journey, and that this isn't going to be every day. It's just this one moment, but you still are in a great investment that's going to continue to perform. You still live in a great house that's going to continue to be cared for. Your people are safe. Your money is safe. All these different things are labor intense, they're like emotionally intense things that you need the support for. And when we are too busy thinking, I got to get back to these 25 freaking emails and pester these vendors, we don't show up with the right energy for it. We don't show up with the right bandwidth for it. And rarely do we show up with the right information prepared, which is the other place where AI can really, really move the needle. For example, in our software, maintenance coordinators are going from having to handle all the different buckets to just looking at what is escalated, right? So you don't need to look at what's happening in triage. You don't need to look what's happening in vendor coordination. All the closeout things are being handled. You can trust but verify that stuff. There's just certain things that get escalated to the property manager that need a human to do it. Once you're done doing those things and checking those boxes off, you spend time in these insights that now AI can uncover. For example, we are now uncovering proactive resident sentiment. You can look at all your residents and the communications that they're having, and the AI can surface, hey, this person sounds pissed off, right? And they can surface this to you and why the AI believes it. So you can double click and you can either reach out to that resident for whatever they, for whatever doubt they're having, or maybe you realize that it's like a vendor issue, so you can reach out to the vendor before reaching out to the resident, or maybe it's an owner thing, right? So it's like allows you to see what's happening as people are getting upset, not after it's blown up into like a big thing and there's a Google review and all these different things. We call it putting out embers instead of fighting fires. That's really, really happening right now. So the AI in maintenance is not just taking the work off of your plate, it's also giving you the information that you need in order to understand where the meaningful work is that can really, really move the needle. That's where this category is going. That's what rental property investors are asking for. And as this thing continues to mature, you got to ask yourself, am I doing this right now? Or am I playing on hard mode to compete with people that are playing on easy mode? Or am I still in this old paradigm? Am I still in the comfort of like, oh, okay, this is the thing that's most trusted because it's been around the longest. This thing's the easiest interface because it looks like things that we've used for the last 10 years, right? Like, are you asking yourself those questions, or are you asking yourself, am I getting the performance that I can now demand from this new world, this new game of technology within my business that changes the roles and the things that I'm allowed to be doing in order to deliver the outcomes that have always been asked for by the market that we have not been able to do. Once you are ready to play this new game, we're here for you, right? We've done this thing 500 plus times. We're winning in these best delivery, best outcome things on the propertymanagement.com report. Happy to help. But the number one question you need to ask yourself is, when am I going to start playing this new game and giving the market what it's always been asking for?